it's your girl, Ms. Mofilla, and you already know you're inside the maze, and we're back with a special toasted dose of the Critical Breakdown. We're here in Roxbury on site with Chef Ollie to break down one of his special recipes. Might be a little toasted, right?
You already know how to get down, especially in the toasted kitchen. That's how we stay.
Amen. It's the Critical Breakdown, man. Let's get straight to it. So Chef Ollie, listen, I know you got something real special for me today, right? Tell me, what are we doing today?
So today, I got my buddy over here, Larry The Lobster.
Larry.
He's chilling out. You know, he's obviously very well taken care of right now. He's chilling out some cold water, getting ready to sacrifice. What we're gonna do is a Cajun lobster pasta with obviously featuring the lobster. We're also gonna use some salmon. We're gonna fry some salmon nuggets, throw that into our Cajun pasta, and we're also gonna crack Larry open and use him as the shell or as the bowl for our pasta.
How do you give him a name and then sacrifice him like this?
Well, I'm a pescatarian, right? So all I eat is fish. And I also very much believe that if you don't really have a connection to, you know, what you're cooking, what you're killing, it doesn't make it the same anymore. So I grew up on a farm in Haiti, you feel me? I used to slaughter my own pigs, sheep, and things of the sort. So I used to eat meat, right? But then when I moved to America and like the, you know, the means of production completely changed, you feel me? I realized there was no real connection to my meat, so I didn't feel comfortable continuing to eat it. It's a little different with fish because it's not like you're really like out there going to fish all the time, but it is 100% a more personable experience for me. So Larry, his cousin Louis went away last week, so you know we're trying to make sure everyone gets a proper ceremony.
I appreciate that. We appreciate you, Larry, and what you're about to sacrifice. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm also going to teach you guys how to do a little bit of infused butter at home.
My favorite.
You feel me? So we're going to keep it toasted just as we always do. So,
yes, I'm excited. Now listen, while you get into this recipe, if you could tell us a little bit of what got you into this game pretty much. I mean, you said you was farming back in Haiti, but
I would say
you got the Cuisinart knives. Oh snap!
Gotta do a little something, you feel me? For me, well, culinary has always kind of been a part of my like family, period. I always grew up around food, around people who knew what to do with food. And it was just about pretty much finding like my own personal story to that and how I fit into that story. Which is exactly how I got into cannabis. So realizing that I'm not necessarily like my mom in the culinary world, right? That I have to add my own little flair to it, or else it isn't gonna be fun. It's not gonna be enjoyable. She can cook for 30 people and like have fun the whole time, but unless like I have like, you know, that little bit of a toasted aspect to it, it keeps me cool the whole way. So when I started figuring out what I really wanted to do, I already knew I had a very deep passion for cannabis and obviously a passion for providing food, right? Servicing people, feeding people, getting everybody right. So if I could marry the two, it was like a match made in heaven. So
excited.
A little heaven over here for me.
I'm excited. So what are we gonna do first, the pasta or the candy?
So we're gonna get our lobster right first.
Oh no, not Larry. Okay, we're doing this on camera. It's happening, y'all.
Just real quick. So there is a trick when you're sacrificing your seafood, right? You always gotta go for the least painful method first. And for lobsters, what happens, well, lobsters, crabs, and a lot of other mollusks, shellfish type, their brain is like pretty much any fish, but their brain is the quickest way to eliminate all their nerves. Right? So even if you see them moving around, that's the last little bit of life going away, right? So you hit him right there, little forehead, and the third eye.
It's like he knows what's about to happen, Larry.
This, and I'm gonna show you guys a trick. This right here, trade secret. You can't be doing that again. Right? This is how you put a lobster to sleep. We're gonna put him right on our cutting board, on his head. Putting him on his head, he's gonna chill just like that. You see? Lobsters have this equilibrium thing happening. Now, we're going to massage from the tip of the head to the back of the spine. Now, slowly, you're gonna start to see the legs retract, stop moving, And this little soothing motion, boom, like most of the action in the legs is pretty much gone. Pretty much 20 seconds in, our lobster is knocked out.
That's crazy.
So when we talk about humane sacrifices, right? Like, and that's a really big thing when it comes to food. You gotta recognize that in nature, everything is energy. So it's not like, oh, I'm just cooking, right? Like you're taking from one energy source and you're consuming it. So you gotta make sure that that transition, you know, is as peaceful as possible, because guess what? That's the energy you're going to be absorbing. I don't want no painful energy in my plate.
Man, no stress out energy.
Exactly. So now my boy's knocked the fuck out. Like literally.
Crazy.
I'm gonna flip him over real quick, get him out. So this is exactly the point I'm going for. And you're always able to see it right there.
Okay. Thank you, Larry.
1, 2, 3. And that's it.
Wow.
So you can tell it's done when all the liquid stops seeping out.
Okay.
And that's it. Like I said, those last movements, that's the nerves completely going out.
Okay.
So we're gonna take my buddy Larry now. Thank you once again for your sacrifice, my brother.
Thank you, Larry. I'm over here about to cry. Shout out to Larry, R.I.P. This is crazy.
Larry was a real nigga.
Yes, he was.
Right. We're gonna transfer him right into our boiling water. And he is gonna chill out here for 8 to 10 minutes until he's ready to rock.
Oh, I'm excited.
All right.
All right, so while we're waiting on Larry, what do we do next?
First, obviously, we sanitize.
Of course, look at that. Cleanliness first. Cleanliness first.
Yo, I keep my rag on me. You see that?
Okay.
Nothing, like I hate when I don't, you know, because it's a kitchen. If there's any part that's supposed to be a little messy, like, you know, food is food. So
Right.
It's not like you could be perfect all the time. So, you know, allow for a little bit of mess, because that means that you're actually like really in the process. But also make sure that you just have everything to make sure that your process is as clean as possible.
And now listen, I'm gonna flex my little culinary muscles that I have, because
That's
I
right.
did go to Le Cordon Bleu a little bit.
Okay.
And they say mise en place, everything in its place, right?
Amen.
That's the way that you yes.
Literally, that
cook.
means exactly what we got over here. So let's get into it. So my mise en place for this dish is not only my fresh veggies and herbs, right? I like to focus on simplicity as key, because it really is. You can have 40 ingredients, doesn't make the dish any better, right? So I got my fresh herbs, I got my veggies, I got my butter, I got my cheese, I got my coconut milk, my whipping cream. I already got my seasoned salmon, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna portion that out, create nice little cubes, and then we're gonna pan fry it on both sides for about 3 to 4 minutes while our pasta gets down in there. While we're doing that too, like I said, I'm gonna teach you guys how to get a little cane butter going. So this is also my mised out canna, my trim that, you know, from a grow. So we trim, we help our grower trim. So this is what we're able to take home ourselves.
Okay.
I already decarb this. It's very important that you decarb your flour when you're making anything from butter to concentrates or whatever.
Oh, good to know.
So what you do is you literally just toss it in the oven, cover it up, 240 degrees for flour for about 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That activates THC, right?
Okay.
Because when you have just a regular nug, right? I'm trying to find one real quick. But when you have just a regular nug, it's not necessarily THC that's in there. It's a compound called THCA, right? THC doesn't actually come about until heat is applied, right? Which is why you can't eat a nug and get high, but if you smoke it, boom, activated. So what you do is you activate this by throwing it in the oven real quick.
Doing it wrong this whole time.
You know what I mean? On the oven, you activate it, and then I'm gonna measure out. Well, I personally, right, because I know how my flour works, I'm gonna put about 7 grams of flour into my little pot right here, my cast iron. That's only about like 2 grams.
The fact that he can eyeball it is crazy. Okay. Is it all right if I turn on this light so we can really see? Oh, mess around, I'm gonna turn on the fan.
Trust me, I got you.
Shout out Larry, do what you gotta do. Shout out
Facts. That's a big man job right there. So, boom. I got about 7 grams of my trim right here. 7 grams of my trim right here, and I'm gonna hit that with my avocado oil. And this is definitely more of a technical thing. The avocado oil has a higher smoking point.
Okay.
So when it comes to my butters, I use avocado and coconut oil. And yeah, so I'm gonna do about a cup of avocado oil to 7 grams of trim. And That's my cup right there.
Shout out to our junior chef. You can probably hear in the background. He'll be making a cameo soon.
Baby chef is active, yes. Baby chef is super active. So I'm going to literally allow this on my lowest heat setting possible. And I'm also gonna throw it on the smallest burner possible to really allow me to control that heat, right? So I'm throwing it back there, and I'm gonna throw this one literally on a 3. Only because the pan surface area plus the size of the burner is gonna keep it perfect. What I'm making sure happens is that I don't see no smoke, barely any bubbles. If I see bubbles, that means it's working, but I don't wanna see oil popping or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? So make sure everything is nice and in there. Make sure you're spreading it, make sure that that surface area is well captured. And then boom, we're literally gonna set that aside, and we're not gonna touch that until everything's practically done.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Now you would bake it first to get it dried out and then do this part.
Exactly.
Okay.
Gotcha. So that baking process is the decarb.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm learning because listen, I struggle when it comes to creating my own can of butter. So I'm getting it first class.
Nice. You know, you got the toasted lesson right here.
Okay.
So you cover that one up, and then boom, we let that do its thing. In the meantime, as I said, we're now gonna get into our boiling pasta and prepping our salmon.
When you came up with Toasted Chef, you said you wanted to marry 2 of your loves together. Now, how did you come up with this process? Did you do it through trial and error, or did someone teach you, or?
So the internet is definitely a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Like when I first really started doing anything infused, I was in high school, junior year, right? And I was trying to find a way, because I'm Haitian, and that shit don't really fly in a Haitian house. So I was trying to find a way to get high without nobody knowing.
Okay.
No smell, you know what I'm saying? Like all these little things. So edibles was obviously the best, you know, there weren't vapes back then.
Right.
So it was like, all right, make your own edibles. The first recipe I actually made was called the firecracker. And I literally found it on YouTube, and it was this dope. He actually has a show now called Bon Appetit. Yeah, but and it's on Netflix. So I love seeing him.
Check that out.
I love seeing him elevate at the same time. But yeah, it was his firecracker recipe that allowed me to even get into this. And the firecracker is super simple. It's literally just graham crackers, Nutella, or peanut butter. And you take that decarb weed you see, and you just sprinkle it on the cracker.
Wow.
And then you bake that in the oven for maybe like 20 minutes.
And that is literally the definition of a firecracker.
Yeah.
Literally.
So you're getting smacked off of like a 0.5. Like you don't need much on the firecracker to get toasted.
I'm getting all the good ingredients and recipes for all my Stoners 420 is coming. So listen, don't say we ain't warn you. We ain't telling you.
Make sure you're getting toasted fast.
Exactly. Make sure you hit up my man's right here, because we got hot sauce, juices, all types of stuff. Right?
You got a whole lot of stuff. This is definitely a production house. So,
yes.
2 of our main products that we got going on right now: Toasted Twisted Teas. This is a very special product to us because this is in many senses, this definitely put us on the map. People loved this summer of 2019, and this is probably all we were pumping out. We were probably pumping out like 6 cases a week of 24 cases. And we actually have a partnership with a local liquor store in Tremont, Wine Emporium. Shout out to them. Those are our sponsors. And they sponsor us with that liquor. And that nice little kind of partnership really allowed us to continue to grow and continue to experiment with a whole bunch of different recipes. So this one is definitely like our number one. We're putting this one on the board. And
the new baby coming.
You feel me? And this right here. So we're working on bottle changes. So this is the cherry trip sauce. This is our infused hot sauce that actually uses a sugar-based THC syrup. The reason why that's important is because sugar gets into your bloodstream in like 10 minutes, rather than an oil that you gotta digest and break down. So whereas you gotta wait like an hour for an edible to hit, this is hitting you literally before you finish your plate. So nano infusions, getting right into your system, all that good stuff.
So I'm excited for all. I'm gonna have to take one of those. I'm gonna take at least one of each.
Trust me, we got you.
All right, and so now we're just portioning out the salmon pieces, right?
Exactly, Mundo.
Okay.
We want to make sure, because our lobster isn't that big, we want to make sure that our salmon also isn't huge, so it's overtaking our bowl, right? Larry's our bowl, so we want to make sure that everything can fit, both the pasta and the proteins. Okay.
It smells good, just the marinade itself. What did you use for ingredients in the marinade?
So this is a ponzu marinated salmon. So I did so ponzu is an Asian citrus. Well, ponzu sauce is a combination of both vinegars and citrus alike.
Okay.
And it's very similar to, I compare it to like a Puerto Rican mojo sauce.
Yep.
You feel me?
Exactly.
So with a lot less spices, so it's very sauce based. And I can grab it out the pantry and just read the ingredients. But it's like a rice vinegar, the ponzu citrus juice, which is literally kind of like an Asian lime lemon.
Okay.
And then soy sauce, mirin, and a whole bunch of other things.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna get enough of that. Probably gonna get one more
Just
portion of salmon.
Just the salmon alone, that way.
This is a thick one, so I'm gonna butterfly this one.
That's some good protein right there.
This was marinating overnight because I was just like, yo, I can't do everything on camera, you know? Like some of that flavor takes time for real.
And a true cook understands the importance is in the preparation, right? It's not necessarily, I mean, you gotta know how to cook, but it's also being organized in your preparation that helps a lot.
Amen.
Like they say, mise en place, that's the only muscle I can flex as far as culinary is concerned. That's
Nah,
it.
but that mise is actually like, I struggled with my mise. Like I said, not like diagnosed, but I say it all the time. Like I struggle with ADHD.
We can
doing like 30,
ourselves.
you know what I'm saying? Like trying to do 30 things at once. So when I was in culinary training, like I would just like try to like run around the kitchen and do like 40 things. And it's just like, bro,
Now, where were you trained, if you don't mind me asking?
I went to Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. It was in Colorado. So I did I did the hybrid program where I was online mainly. And I was kind of confused. I never heard of no online culinary school. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it's actually a lot harder than being in person.
Yeah.
Simply because you gotta show everything. Like I had to take pictures of my sanitizing solution. So you test it with the strip to show that it had the right amount of bleach. You gotta take a picture of that, take a picture of the time. You gotta take a picture of the time that you start your recipe, the time you end, so that they're like time, especially for the test.
Now, we were just having a conversation really quickly about the importance of connecting with your protein or the animal that is made to sacrifice. And like you just showed us that trick of putting them to sleep before the actual, I hate to call it slaughter because that's just such a, the act, right? The sacrifice, perfect word. Now, can we talk about, because I went to Le Cordon Bleu, had a little bit of culinary training myself. They never taught us that method of actually connecting with the animal first. It was just kind of straight for the kill. Can we talk about the difference?
That's real. Like the system, and it is a system, I promise you that. But the system always wants to devalue our connection with the rest of nature. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where they profit the most off of, right? When you don't have a connection with your food, that's when you're missing out the most. You're getting so sorry. No. But yeah, so lacking that connection with your food is when you're missing out the most, right? Without that connection, you're not really getting nourished anymore. You're really just getting fed.
Yeah.
And that's the business, right? The business is not in nourishing. The business is not in healing. The business is in feeding, right? Like sales. Let's get the protein in. Let's get the protein out. You know what I'm saying? That's continuous cycle. But guess what? As soon as you start building a relationship with your food, you're gonna start appreciating it more. And it's not gonna be so much as like, oh, I need to buy this, buy that, get this, get that, so I can have like a meal. But more so like, now you're gonna be. It's really the difference between saying, all right, I want to have an experience rather than, I just want to eat. Yeah. And that experience is 100% what makes or breaks that nourishment aspect of it all.
Now, would you say as somebody who prepares food the way that you do, and you also have to eat food for people who don't know how to do this stuff, right? Does your body feel that difference?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's also what I try to teach people because every chef is a teacher whether they know it or not.
Come on.
You're just sharing your experiences. You're teaching people how to not only eat but also nourish themselves. Really. So how I kind of impart that knowledge is gonna pretty much dictate the experiences that my clients get to have as well. Okay. I'm not trying to give anybody no half-ass experience. It's all about it's all about the right
work any commercial kitchens before doing your own catering, or? Yeah.
I was at Daryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen for a while.
Yeah, shout out to Daryl's,
Yeah.
right in Roxbury, man. Black-owned business. I love it.
I would say a lot of what I know about Southern food came in supplement from Daryl's.
Okay.
Before Daryl's, I had moved to Atlanta for like almost a year. And you know, like just that Southern kind of like hospitality. Every kitchen I went into, I expressed that, you know, oh I love food, this and that. They're like, yo, you want to come work here? And so I ended up hopping into a whole bunch of kitchens in Atlanta, which made me fall in love with like Southern soul food.
Okay.
And then when I came back to Boston, I'm like, I need that experience back.
Okay.
So I went straight to Daryl's. I told them about the experiences I was having and how I kind of want to continue growing in that sense. And you know, shout out to Nia Grace because she responded very well to that. And, you know, like allowed me to learn from her. And I'll always be kind of like, always, you know, appreciative of that experience.
Yeah, love and respect, 100%. All right, and when you decided to get into your own catering, how did you start off? You didn't think about that question, huh?
Yes. Nah, the start of my journey was an interesting one. So when I stopped working in restaurants, because I bounced around for a little bit, obviously. I was working in a whole bunch of different places. After Daryl's, I went somewhere in Faneuil Hall, just for all these different experiences, really. Not anything outside of that. Because I knew I needed to not only understand like different methods of cooking, but also different like types of service, right? Different places of service. Daryl's, being in the South End, completely different than Faneuil Hall with that kind of like tourist crowd and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where a lot of people go to Daryl's and been like passed down. That's like a passed down restaurant.
It's like a traditional type of thing.
You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
But like Faneuil Hall, you'll see different people every day. So it's less about that connection, more about like that fast service.
Okay.
So like picking up those little things was dope. So when I started off, I went into like local events, pop-up shops. That's really how I got into it.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing a whole bunch of events at like Hayes Oasis. I was doing events at, there was a whole bunch of like cannabis pop-ups where like I was getting my name out by doing some infused food.
Okay. Now would you do like live demos there on site or just kind of giving your infused food?
So that was just literally like one of my like most consistent things is my tacos. Like people fuck with the tacos.
I feel like I might have stumbled upon your tacos before in my life. I feel like I might have.
I was about to say, no bullshit. Like people thought I only did tacos because like literally every time I did tacos, like people would like, you know, like I would sell out, but like also like people would rave about them.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn, like I'm not even Spanish. I felt so fake. Nah. But like, you know, like it was just an interesting way to see both people's like kind of universal love for food, right? Like you don't got to be from any specific culture to be able to provide a good experience. But it also showed me that, you know, like taking time into the process, right? The ingredients, because the taco is relatively simple in concept, right? You have the shell, which can be made of flour, corn, or whatever the fuck you want. And then you have the proteins, you got the salsa, you got toppings like guac, sour cream, or you can even do crema, like all these little different things that can build on the experience. And that was where I like really let my creativity shine.
Gotcha.
And people responded to that very well. Like I was doing Haitian tacos, I did the plantain tacos, like tacos out of plantain shells.
I think that might have been what I had.
So I was doing a whole bunch of different things, and obviously they were all infused. So it was like people was over here like, wow, I've never seen that before. And I'm just like, me neither.
Watch me work.
You feel me? So it was just a dope experience. It was a dope way to flex that sense of creativity while trying to get accustomed to servicing, period. Because I, you know, like the closest I ever got to service was in a kitchen line, not really in front of clients. I was really just working with like managers telling me like, hey, get this order out. You know, so it was different, like having to interact with clients on my own rather than just being in the kitchen doing it.
Now, I was just about to say, before you get into even having to service your clients, just the thought process of learning different cuisines and different kitchens before doing it for yourself. I think it's an important message for people to understand, like you gotta be okay with serving others first and working for others first to learn the tricks of the trade to be good at what you do, right? So that when you do it for yourself, you've already gotten all the tips and all the things that you need to know from working from the masters and working for the masters. Maybe we shouldn't say masters, right?
Well, I will say that, you know, like it's a dope thing in the culinary world, right? There's a lot of respect in kitchens.
Yes.
You know, like, and we do regard each other as masters of our craft, like 125%. And that's really what allowed me to like dead ass humble myself. You feel me? And be like, I don't know shit about this, but guess who does? Mia, because she owns the whole, you feel me? Like whether it was hers to begin with or she acquired it, but guess what? She's running it. She's doing a great job. So that being said, like a lot of times where, you know, like boom, in the restaurant, I had to, you know, when I started getting into cooking position, you know, preparing the chicken. And I'm over here trying to do things like add vinegar, trying to clean the meat, this and that. And she's over here like, do you understand what that does? And it's just like, it wasn't even talking about like, oh, whether it cleans it or not. It's more so the chicken that we were serving were chicken breasts, and we would grill them whole, right? That vinegar, exactly. And it like it loosens the protein bond. So like, you know, in cooking it'll probably fall apart. All these little things, right? Yeah. So that's actually why when we do clean our meats with vinegar and all these extra things, we're able to get such tender meat, right? Like that's a huge aspect of most Caribbean cultures. Is just like, yeah, like our meat is always tender, fall off the bone, this and that, because of our preparation style. But in service, right, in these establishments, that's often not what they're going for. They're looking for a real structure, that anatomy, staying true to the protein. These little things that I honestly had no idea about, and I had to learn, and I had to like literally humble myself. Like it's not what I grew up with that is the best. It's really about how to take these techniques and use them for when they're best suited.
And please explain that to people as a cook and as somebody who's cooking for other people. A lot of times we can get wrapped up in our favorite recipes and our favorite flavors, but it's really important to understand other people's palates and cooking for other people's palates, right?
120%. I think that was probably one of my biggest things, realizing that there's a whole host of flavor profiles out there, and I had to get used to a whole bunch of them, which is why I one of the biggest influences in my cooking, Middle Eastern, North African, specifically Moroccan, Ethiopian, but then also like Asian, Japanese, Polynesian stuff. So that's why I love using my mirin, my ponzu sauce, like my rice vinegar probably goes in my proteins more. So that was rice vinegar and the ponzu sauce, you feel me? So like my rice vinegar goes into a whole lot more proteins than you'd imagine, simply because of like that flavor, the decadence, and also like I was saying, like that vinegar really does break down the proteins a lot more. So it allows for more flavor absorption, but that's specifically for the recipes I'm using, right? So I know I had to kind of like turn that part of my brain off and go into work in the kitchen real quick.
My biggest problem is like we all gotta understand and learn to do our work and learning different spices, because we gotta do more than adobo and Lowry's, guys. We gotta do a little bit more than that.
So I stopped using complex spice blends.
Yeah.
That was one thing for me. So I have a whole bunch of whole spices, you feel me? And then it's literally just learning how to layer them. It was like a challenge for me, like, don't get no more seasoned salt. Figure out how to make your own seasoned salt. You know what I'm saying?
No like seasoning salt.
I mean, like, obviously I got a little something. Like, I'm gonna show you. This is probably the most complex spice I got in my kitchen. My Dano's original seasoning. Like, you know, he's not sponsoring me yet, but I know.
We on our way.
I know this man's about to see me.
I know that's right.
Facts.
So you build your own. Listen, I gotta do better. This is a message to everybody out there listening, guys.
We're all working.
We're all working to do better. Just make sure you know your spices, because there's more to life than adobo and Lowry's. I promise. All right, speaking of Lowry's, our homie Larry.
I was about to say, he is, I left him sitting because I don't have ice water. So after you do like steam or boil your seafood or shellfish, you usually put it in an ice bath.
Okay.
So I let the coldest water run for a little while, and he's nice and room temperature. So I'm gonna get him situated on a little wire rack, and then we're gonna break him down in a few seconds. Just trying to break up whatever clumps that might be in there. And then boom, we're gonna literally toss it back in here with some oil and get it ready for
the way I'm learning all the proper techniques, you would have never thought I actually attended any type of culinary school because the basics, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that. Here's a shot of Larry. Let's shout out Larry real quick. Do what he does.
What does that smell?
It's probably either the salmon.
It smells good.
It's the salmon.
Definitely the salmon, okay. So pasta's ready. We're gonna start working on our sauce now.
Ooh, this is my favorite. I'm a
But,
saucy type of girl.
So obviously, in most sauces,
Gotta
have the, feel me? I actually work with salted butter simply so that I don't use a lot of salt in my food. So the little things that I do use, I like them to have their own natural flavor in it, period. I know a lot of people who literally work the other way around. So, you know, they're like, I don't use salted butter so that I can control the salt, this, and that. And I'm like, I don't use salt, so
and
this is my
the
cheat
salted
code.
butter, like you said, it naturally brings out the flavor of whatever you're cooking in it.
Exactly. And I do like natural flavors. We're gonna get that nice and activated. And then we're gonna throw in our meased out veggies that we had just cut up.
He's such a cool chef. Did you hear that meased out? He's so cool.
But dum. Small burner. Let's get it activated. Oh man. Knowing that butter's spreading some good shit's about to happen. Let's go. So I'm gonna go right in because it's gonna take, we want to sweat out our veggies as much as possible. Simply, it extracts all the flavor, it brings out the natural sweetness in them, and caramelize them. So give them a little bit of time to get situated. Boom, boom.
That was crazy because once that fire hits and that aroma starts, you would smell, I don't care what you're cooking, once you start sauteing some onions and green peppers, it smells like you know what you're doing, I promise you. It smells like you know what you're doing.
Simple as that.
I promise you, for all the fake chefs out there, start off with some aromatics.
That's cheat codes right there.
That's definitely cheat codes.
I heard you, chef. So our sauce that we're building is going to be like a coconut cream sauce. Like I said, we're doing a, did I say curry lobster?
Oh, no, it wasn't curry. It was
Asian.
Yeah.
There we go. Yo, it's the C's. Get me fucked up. All right, so as we're letting that do what it does, obviously it's gonna take a little bit of time for that, that saute, that sweat down. We're gonna go right into our salmon. The reason why I like using heavy bottom pots specifically is because they caramelize better, and there's so much spices on this that we want that caramelization because we're gonna obviously take all of that out and reintroduce it back into our sauce right after.
How's that can of butter doing back?
That can of butter's can of bussin'. Let's check it out. Nice. I can actually see, so if you can, them slight bubbles that's popping on the surface right there, all over the spot, like you will literally see slight bubbles, and that's exactly what we're looking for, especially right here, matter of fact. We're doing, yeah, magic. That's how you know it's working. You're gonna let that go. Like I said, that's going for about an hour, or less. Matter of fact, it's already been a solid like 25 minutes that it's been going, to be honest. A little bit of olive oil down. Yeah, my Ethiopian olive oil.
Ooh, fancy. Now, do you choose different oils for different, proteins or what have you?
Yes. So, because the salmon isn't, we cubed it, right? So it's super, super small. Olive oil does not have as high of a smoking point as avocado oil does, right? Which is why we use avocado oil for our can of butter, because we don't want that smoke to come out, so we want to minimize as much smoke as possible. Because it has a higher smoke point, it's going to be better for higher temperature cooking.
Gotcha.
Olive oil with a lower smoke point, we're pretty much flash frying these in a sense, right? We're going to do like a quick 3-sided thing. One side, flip it, and then take it out. But that olive oil is going to allow it to cook as fast as possible. Because of that lower smoke point, it's going to get hotter quicker and all these good things. If we had used olive oil for the can butter, you would have noticed a lot more bubbles because of that lower smoke point. And we would have probably noticed a lot more smoke as well.
learning, just like everybody else here today, because the way I just be putting olive oil in everything, it's ridiculous. Now, why are you getting Larry together? For those who might be a little bit afraid of the THC life and the infused food life, right?
Because not everybody can get toasted, I can say that.
Right, not everybody. Do you also provide services for those who can't get toasted?
Of course. Especially because like of my origins in culinary, like gotta respect my parents. So
of course.
I do a lot of church catering as well.
Okay.
As soon as a lot of my family members found out that I am now a chef, they all continuously want to support, and that's, obviously that's a major reason why we're able to be as successful as we are, because we're not trying to lock into any specific clientele. It's really, for me, like, especially with the food, it's all about providing services, getting people fed, you know what I'm saying, and all these beautiful and amazing things. How do we create an experience?
Did y'all see that skill right there? With it pull that lobster up. You understand me?
So we just want to crack the head, but keep the tail completely intact, right? So we're gonna literally empty out everything.
Even the insides look more peaceful. Look at it.
Yeah.
When you kill them in a more peaceful manner, everything looks different. Shout out, Larry. Thank you.
Wow.
I've now been sort of, to a certain extent, not desensitized, but I understand the process of the sacrificing. It's necessary because we need the food, right? But it's also necessary to show respect. My brother has his own farm with chickens and all that fun stuff.
That's shit. Where's that at?
Out in East Bridgewater.
Hey.
So I had my first farm fresh chicken. I didn't know until after I took my first bite. Boy, did they taste different. They taste different.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
But there's also more love and respect in that.
If you don't know, you will you'll still like feel it, you know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even about like putting it in people's faces all the time, because that can definitely get annoying. But trust me, they'll feel it. They'll feel it in the service, they'll feel it in the flavor, all that good stuff.
Larry, you did your job. Thank you for all that delicious meat. Are you still sad over there, Paige? You all right? You all right?
It's definitely different when you take your time with it.
So we're gonna go all the way around, free that up.
Still keeping the shell intact. This is usually when I would destroy the shell.
Of course. This is definitely the hardest part though. So it's not light, it's not like easy to well, it's easy to fuck it up.
That is for true.
Very easy.
The bowl like up here. So
Yeah, of course. Good catch. I want to continue. Literally just going around. And like the layers of skin that hold it all together is so thin that you gotta literally go through with your fingers and get everything.
The way I'm entranced right now.
But this is also the fun part. Like I said, taking time with the food just changes the whole experience. Like our sauces over there bubbling, getting nice and merry.
Wait, it was a coconut cream based sauce, y'all. You don't even know. Wait till you see it. Wait.
I'll watch that whole lot.
Now I want y'all to understand the importance of why we're keeping the shell together. If you didn't catch it in the beginning, he's going to be using Larry's shell as the bowl for this. Can we talk about the importance of presentation being a part of the cooking process?
So for me, I eat with my eyes all the time. Like I'll go to any restaurant, fuck around, order the whole menu, take half of it to go. But guess what? It's like literally it's that eating with your eyes, understanding like the experience that you're like about to. Yeah, you're about to have this whole experience, might as well. And just knowing that too, like everyone else is like that, whether they know it or not. That you eat with your senses before you ever taste anything.
For sure.
Whether it's a smell, sight, sound, right? That sizzle, it gets people going. Real talk. So, trying to use all your, as a chef, I try to employ all the senses to make sure that people, aren't just out here for that superficial taste. Because the taste could be whatever, but shit.
Because I've seen a lot of good looking food that don't taste good, and I've seen a lot of bad looking food that when you take the chance, it actually tastes bomb. But you're right, the moment you look at it, you're like, you're judging it immediately.
Immediately. Whether it's a good judge or an ad judge, whatever. But knowing that automatically gives you an edge, right? Because when people don't take that into consideration, you allow the client essentially to create the experience for themselves. And what's the point of being a servicer?
Exactly.
At that point? So boom, you got the whole tail out. I
dip it in some butter, y'all. I just want to dip it.
Bust down. I'm actually watching that too. Clean everything.
The way my mouth is watering, and I'm just envisioning a butter bowl right now. It's crazy. And you gonna put it right next to me like that? Ollie, that's wild.
Sorry, sugar.
Now, for those who might want to say, you know, I have a 4-year birthday coming up, that might want to get into the private catering, right? Because you do that as well. All right, and would you come into the house and do the actual cooking and everything there?
Most definitely.
How's
It's the
that
experience. I think that's actually what a lot of people are looking for nowadays, right? Because, you know, we're not gonna step away, like, especially in the times we live, that fast-paced life, you know, we're not gonna step away from wanting to have other people do things for us, right? But a lot of people are stepping away from people doing things for them outside, right? Like going outside is expensive, this and that, and it's not worth the experience, right? Whereas a private chef, yeah, it's expensive as well, but so much more worth the experience. Why? Because you're able to keep these memories, like, I don't know how else to put it outside of like, you're in this intimate space that you own. One, it's your home, right? With your family members, right? It's not a whole bunch of random people in the restaurant around you talking about a whole lot of shit you don't know or understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the experience is now so much more like personal. And that's why, yes, that private chef, that's really kind of one of the things I wanted to do, mainly because like now it's not just me cooking food, right? It's me building that relationship with the clients and all this extra stuff.
That makes all the difference. It's the way the shell is still intact, y'all. That's crazy.
And sometimes you'll have like, you know, like little breaks and cracks, but that's still nothing.
Now you wouldn't use that claw meat? Look at me jumping ahead.
Oh, actually, so Pete, that's what I was trying. That's what I was about to do. I'm about to get into the claw meat. I just wanted to, so I can't take the claws off because if I do, it's gonna break apart the shell a little more. So I'm getting into it like this. I'm gonna create a little slit right here.
Skill for me.
This is the same way they give it to you at the restaurants, with a little slit, so that you could just literally go ahead and
crack it yourself. Back up.
Low key, the spines is making it a little hard for that grip, but
the juice will come flying out. Ooh, he's so good with it. Look at he's good with his hands, y'all.
Has to, especially when you're cooking for folks.
That's a good break right there, sir. That is a good break.
Clean claws, clean claws.
Yes. A little something like that.
You know what I mean? That's what I was trying to avoid too. Honestly, presentation like this is cute shit.
It is. I mean,
trying to break it a little more, but you know what? I think
that's
don't bite
cute.
off more than you can chew.
Right. That's don't do too much.
Yeah, facts. That's the lesson of the day.
Less is more.
Amen.
As a true seafood lover, the way my mouth is salivating right now. Where is the butter?
It's cooking.
The can of butter, that is. The can of butter.
Clean claws, clean claws.
See? That's a juicy claw, Lord.
Yeah, now my mouth is watering.
Right, I'm like, just give me that. Right?
I have to crack it up a little more.
Now your comfortability with the knife, I'm sure that had to come with time, right? A lot of the way you just kind of finagled that shell and everything.
Yeah, the knife and I have an interesting relationship. It's like a toxic love-hate relationship.
I understand that so much.
Yeah. And it definitely comes from a lot of trial and error for sure.
When you go to any type of culinary school or in training or just beginning to cook, your hands will show 100% the war that you take on with these knives, right?
It's just factual.
And them Cuisinart, listen.
If you don't respect it, I promise you, it'll make a fool out of you.
It'll make you respect it.
Thanks. Trying to make sure I could get this whole claw.
There's an art and a finesse to this, y'all. Do you have the finesse?
Let's find out.
Let's see. So tell them again what the trick to building Cajun is.
The trick to building a real Cajun sauce is using whole everything, right? Cajun is literally nothing more than a mix of like the vegetables, the aromatics, like your salt, pepper, onions, garlic, your herbs, like your coriander and your parsley, and blending it all together. Literally.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit it with that little ba ba ba. And guess what? My favorite kitchen tool.
Ooh.
Bust it out real quick.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. So this one, cheat codes. It's real life cheat codes, and now you're gonna front with you. You don't gotta take anything out the pot. Literally just rock out just like that.
Oh, wow.
This is a stick blender. Exactly what it sounds like.
How much, not to get into business, but how much did that run you?
This was like a, this one, so you can get a stick blender for like $80.
Okay.
70 something.
Okay.
This one had like 2 attachments, so it was like 100.
Gotcha.
So it's really not like the most expensive kitchen tool. And it's, I found it funny, it's not even as expensive as an actual blender.
Really?
So boom, just literally gonna give this a quick blend. Blend all of everything together. That's my, my coconut base, my onions, my peppers, my herbs, and that blend is going to unlock all that flavor. So that's why we have cut up so much of those aromatics, because we're using every single little bit of it.
And they cook down immensely.
Immensely, yeah. We had a whole bowl of it. I'm gonna add a little bit more cream to avoid from too much spillage. Thank you, Kim. This is the fame corner real quick.
Yes, we gotta get a little taste of this salmon.
Oh, you wanna try that cherry trip sauce?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Mm. First of all, wait, I gotta put it on a secret little piece. Because they're gonna be mad.
What's in that?
This is the trippy.
That's the cannabis.
Oh, this is, I need this. This is what I came for. Sir.
That's my infused hot sauce.
I need a bottle of that.
Shit.
Yeah.
I need a bottle. Oh my God, I need a bottle of that, sir.
So we
How
use.
How much is that? Thank you.
The bottle?
Yeah.
The bottle's 20. 250 milligrams. So like
Oh my.
each, it has, you can measure perfectly how much you're dosing yourself, because 4 ounces at the very top, then we got 3, 2, 1. But that 200 milligrams is gonna give you 50 milligrams per ounce.
Oh yeah.
So if you know, right, like you take a 5 milligram edible and you're nice, you're literally gonna do like 2 to 5 drops, right? But if you can do 50 milligrams, which is roughly around 2 blunts, right? One blunt.
Yeah.
You can pour up a whole ounce. But this motherfucker right here, Robert,
This guy.
because he's the production manager for Toasted Chef, so he's in charge of the production whenever we have our team making the products. We had dared him to drink a whole bottle. So
Dang.
yeah, my guy got toasted for sure.
Oh my, that
But no,
delicious.
Robert, how was it? How'd you feel after that? Actually,
I actually felt really nice. I mean, we had an adventure that night, but
I'm sure. That tastes delicious. If you haven't heard it, right. Even you don't even taste the infusion portion. Like it tastes like a good hot sauce. My God. I'm definitely gonna need a couple bottles of that. Make sure y'all hit up this man, Chef Oliver. We'll get all the drops in, but make sure you hit this man up. That sauce is legit.
we're gonna get everybody right.
Stick that in my mouth.
So I'm just
So people can have some?
also
Catch the creamy sauce. Yes.
This is that scratch-based Cajun cream.
Oh,
A coconut Cajun cream.
Oh my
Yo,
god.
you have to take that whole set.
nah, I'm not gonna do it like that. I'm not gonna do it like that.
Ooh,
That was amateur.
That cream is doing what it's supposed to do. The fact that most people dry out their salmon or it gets incredibly hard. This is juicy, tender. What's the tricks?
The camera caught it all. We flash fried it literally for no more than 2 minutes, and because we cut it so small, it really allowed all the pieces. Perfect. It allowed all the pieces to cook to the perfect temperature without drying out at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And that's important because, especially when you're working with big portions, like people always like to say that. I don't know, seafood. I don't know. People either love seafood or hate seafood, and it's all because where you had it from, the person either knew how to cook it or didn't, and that's it. That's really 100% it. So I always try to do my seafood because I'm a pescatarian, so I can't fuck around and eat bad seafood.
I know that's right. All I'm eating, I gotta master it.
Right. So. Just experimenting and understanding what the fish really needs. And every fish needs a little something else. Salmon being like a nice fatty fish, all that fat that's in there as it gets cooked out will become hard. So you don't want to cook it all the way out. You just want to lock in those proteins real quick. Simple as that. So all I'm doing is getting our sauce nice and really on our pasta. You know what I'm saying? Separating it from that sauce bath it was just having. And now we have like that nice little smooth cream going on right there. So I'm gonna turn that heat off, keep it warm right here, and then we're gonna pull out Larry and start building.
Larry, he's coming back out.
Out.
And let me put the camera over here, Babo. For my people out there that still pronounce the L in salmon, did you notice we didn't? Please know that it's not salmon, it's salmon, okay? Just wanted to throw that out there. Break that down, okay?
Uncle will be taking all our taxes.
Uncle Salmon.
All right.
Did you learn that today, Finesse? Did you know that?
Now I feel like
We're done.
I'm over here sneaking pieces, guys. Don't judge me. Cheers. It's the cash app because I need this. That is too good.
Do two things real quick.
Oh, thank you.
We're gonna do two things real quick. I'm gonna separate those lobster pieces we had chopped up earlier to get us nice and situated. Because that's obviously going right into it. It's a lobsterception.
Now I'm about to be fucked up.
My girl smokes. She likes that type of shit, so
This is
I'm gonna get one for her.
everything. You
Much love,
got
bro.
to. This
You know you gotta keep
tastes
it
so
clean,
good.
toasted.
that's supposed to be.
Yeah, facts.
Right.
Nah, he's gonna fuck around and try it and fall in love.
Right. Because I promise you won't even know. It tastes so good. It's not even, he didn't pay me to do this, y'all. It tastes bomb. Like,
So what happens when you make love.
ah.
Is the juice infused?
Yeah.
The juice, yeah, so it's alcohol and THC.
Oh shit.
But I am coming out with, well, they're all gonna be infused, so let me not just,
It's a challenge.
let me not say but. But I'm gonna come out with a syrup. It's going to be a sea moss syrup
Yeah.
that you can pour into your juices, get toasted in a nice and simple manner. But it's also like, for the health conscious. As I am also health conscious, I wanted to not just be getting people fucked up all the time, but give everyone a chance to kind of like, rock in a holistic manner.
Fucked
Get your
up in
sea
a healthy
moss.
way.
If you don't, yeah, you feel me? So if you don't know what sea moss is a very nutrient dense supplement. It is a seaweed, and it contains 92 of the 102 minerals that your body needs to maintain just proper functions. I'm talking about from like heart functions, brain functions, skin, like a natural, it's a natural enhancer of your blood flow. So it not only purifies your blood, but it also increases the oxygen in your lungs. So like after continuous use, like you'll like literally be able to breathe deeper, especially for those who like suffer asthma and all these extra things like these. These are the little holistic things that, you know, they always say like, hey, watch out for some good stuff because you don't need it. And that's exactly that good stuff.
It's good to have that education behind it because, you know, Black people just kind of jump on the wave of, you know, sea moss, and nobody explains why it's so important. And thank you for giving us that information.
No, of course. Information is literally knowledge, and knowledge is power. Power to the people.
Power to Larry. Oh, it's legit. I feel a little something right now, and I'm a smoker. So yeah, this is legit.
Okay, first of all, yeah,
Paper towel.
you know you can't plate without some greens.
Of course.
I almost forgot. I was like, hey yo, what's this in here? Let's give our mans a nice little bed.
Oh, Larry.
Larry's getting that.
Presented you in style, honey.
Okay. Just make sure he gets the proper respect he deserves. Right? Nature back in nature.
That's really the most fun part. Like, of course you enjoy cooking it, but putting it together on the plate, that's definitely the most fun.
Facts.
Come on, Larry. You already looking kingly, okay? Already.
Awesome, wide open. Perfect. Wow.
So like Chef Ollie said, we got to return him back to where he came, back to nature, right? Shout out to Larry, getting the king treatment on his plating.
This recipe came from Father's Day 3 years ago. My dad is huge on, so we're all huge on seafood. And my mom was like trying to surprise him for Father's Day. She was just like, you know, he loves crabs. And I'm just like, yeah, but here, let's give him let's give him a broiled stuffed lobster. 'Cause I don't know if he's ever had that. And I don't really know, well, I never made it either, but I was just like, let's do something new.
Yeah. It's the cream on the fettuccine, y'all. I can't. The way my mouth is watering. Straining out. Look at that. That's beautiful. Oh, 420 is going to be so magical this year. Yes, it is.
Yeah, and everybody toasted on it.
Okay.
That's the thing I love about food. You can start to experiment with so much things rather than just making brownies and cookies and shit.
Because that was how I got introduced to edibles, is making my brownies. I was doing it such an amateur way, like literally sprinkling my flour in the batter type of deal.
Well, you know, with the right amount of fat, it works because that's exactly how the firecracker worked.
True.
That peanut butter has 16 grams of fat per serving. So with 1 gram, you know, you're mixing that fat with the THC. That's how you get faded.
Got it.
So you just have to have the right amount of fats. Low key. Perfect.
The way that smells, y'all. Ooh, I wish y'all could smell this. Just scratch and sniff the screen, y'all. Just scratch and
Right
sniff.
here is that liquid gold that we all love so much.
Can of butter.
Bow. I'm gonna temper this in a little bit of herbs, so it's like a perfect finisher.
Yes. The way I get excited. All right, now for the piece de resistance, okay?
Let's go right into Mr. Larry.
It's the finesse for me, chef. It's the finesse.
Just like that.
That was clean. That was a clean plate right there.
Allow Larry to fully house everything that he got going on right now. You know what I'm saying?
As Jay-Z would say, allow Larry to reintroduce himself.
Thanks. No cap. That's exactly where my.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that looks magical.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna just do a little. Matter of fact, nah. What we are gonna do is a little top off of that.
That sauce?
Crack.
Yes.
Chris Rock.
Ooh, if y'all gonna see the cream, I don't even have to say nothing. Y'all gonna see it.
Mm.
Jesus. For a saucy girl like myself, this is heaven. Oh my gosh. Yes, Lord. Larry, you are getting all the respect today. I can't believe we named our lobster. We named him. We sent him through a journey.
Oh, we're journeying together.
We're
you feel me?
journeying.
Perfect. We're gonna top them off.
It's my, can you get it in my face? I want that. Come on, man. It's the finesse for me. That's that juicy salmon we saw prepared. No L, y'all heard it. No L.
Right, we don't want to overload anything because we want to give everything its opportunity to shine. And last but not least,
I'm about to do a happy dance, y'all.
Papa Larry over here.
Larry did what he was supposed to do.
Cut off my boy's claws. Let that be right there, because you know.
You gotta showcase all that he's done, right?
All of it.
Now, most people make the mistake of kind of adding, well, is it a mistake to add your protein into the pasta while cooking?
So what happens is you overcook it more often than not.
Okay.
More often than not. So if I did that with the salmon, that's exactly, we would have experienced that dry. You know, because it's saucy, we wouldn't feel it being dry. But guess what? Like if we had separated from the sauce for a long enough time, it, you know.
Dry out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think like knowing how much to do and when to do it is key, especially when preparing seafood.
Okay.
Because you never want to do too much. Set it aside, reintroduce it with some simple sauce or whatever the case may be later. Nice little lobster chunk.
Yes, Lord.
And then, last but not least, our garnishes. So, I'm big on greens, I'm big on herbs, so, and I'm also big on health. So, for me, that means microgreens and sprouts. Today we got some dill sprouts and obviously seafood, so I chose the dill sprouts. Gives it a nice little freshness to it, but most importantly, the health aspect.
Okay. Because most people would just put some dry oregano. Right, parsley.
So, and so sprouts versus herbs, right? These are, like, seeds are so powerful and we don't realize it, but sprouts are way more nutrient dense than the herb that they grow into.
Okay.
Like about 100 times more nutrient dense. Like a cup of this is probably like 30 grams of iron.
Oh, wow.
Probably like 10 grams of protein.
Say less.
No, I'm dead serious. Whereas the herbal fully grown counterpart is just nowhere near. Why? Because seed, right? And we're obviously looking, sprouts are always with their seed. The seed is the powerhouse of nutrition. That's like the genetic code of everything, right? That's why they say babies are better than humans.
Facts.
Right? Because they already have all the, you know what I'm saying? Like all the little knowledge. And you know, you gotta get on no like weird like spiritual aspect with it. It's like literal facts. It's like the baby knows everything it needs, right? Like it's gonna cry when it needs the milk. But guess what? When we're fucking 20s and 30s, we'll be starving and ignore that need in ourselves. Whereas the baby is completely only focused on its own survival and knows exactly what it needs.
Yeah. Listen, this wouldn't be a complete episode if we didn't bring the star of the show, baby Chef Alness, in the building. This is the first son of Chef Ali, and he is the cutest thing on the planet. So we had to make sure he's a part of this experience. You feeling good? You feeling good, boo? Yeah, you feeling good. We gonna test taste, but you can't have none, but I get to have some.
We're gonna get him a nice little green bean puree going, all right, my boy?
Yeah, we love it. Now listen, make sure you let everybody know, Chef Ollie, come back. Make sure you let the people know where they can find you and your products.
So for everything toasted, you can find us at the home of Toasted Chef, toastedchef.org, where you can view our catering menu. We have our edible arrangements, as you could say, also available on there. There's a little bit of our story as well. And also on Instagram and social media at Toasted crew.tc. Because it ain't just me, right? It ain't just Chef, it's a whole crew. I got a whole crew behind me, and that's why we're able to be as successful as possible. So Instagram, toastedcrew.tc, toastedchef.org. Holla at your boy. Whatever you need, we got you.
Ooh, now this is that can of butter. It's a nice topper. If you notice, you didn't cook with the can of butter, but you wanted to add it as a topper. Why is that?
Because, once again, cannabis as a herb in itself is very fragile. So we don't want to apply too much heat, as we already know that the heat did come from the cooking process.
Now listen, y'all, this is the time. This is the what do they call it? The judging moment. I'm just making up stuff, but this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I gotta get a good forkful.
Yeah, I say get you a nice little twirl going.
There we go. I wanna make sure I get all the protein on there. Boom. All right, here we go. Oh my Lord. Listen, Toasted Chef, you did not disappoint.
God bless.
Listen, make sure you tune in each and every, whenever we feel like dropping for another dose of the Critical Breakdown, man. It's your girl, Ms. Mofilla. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell down at the bottom so you can keep track of everything we got going on, man. The Critical Breakdown, Chef Ollie, AKA Toasted Chef. Yeah, we got Baby Chef in the building. And we got this, shout out Larry. Let's give a shout out to Larry in his final scene. Doing what he did for us today. God bless y'all, man. Thank you again, Chef Ollie.
God bless the trap.
Peace out, man. Oh my goodness. That is bomb.